Well, Elon Musk is leaving DOGE. The question is, why? And the official reason is because, well, his 130 days are up. Because according to federal code, if you're a special government employee, you can only serve for 130 days within a 365-day period. But can we ask an honest question here? Would he actually stay longer if he could? Based off of his recent X posts, I'm not sure he would. Take this one, for instance. I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it. Now, this is the same bill that the Trump administration has actually been pushing. And while everybody admit that there's pros and cons to it, this is an interesting development from Elon Musk. So I go back to the question, why is he really leaving and what can we expect in the future? But I guess in addition to that, should we really be surprised? I mean, after all, Elon Musk is used to working in an environment where he can make drastic changes pretty much whenever he wants. There's a famous story about Elon Musk when he first purchased Twitter. He ordered several servers that he thought were redundant and useless to be shut down, and he got told that that would take weeks, if not months, to achieve. So what did Elon do? He turned his plane around, personally went into the building, and started dismantling servers. And the story didn't stop there. He fired over 80% of the workforce at Twitter. And yet, Twitter, now X, seems to be running just fine. So how is that possible? Well, according to Elon, and I quote, yes, if you're not trying to run some sort of glorified activist organization, you don't care that much about censorship, then you can really let go of a lot of people, it turns out. So Elon was used to working in this kind of environment. He didn't have to ask permission or beg a board to agree with his decisions or changes. He could just make them. Now, keep in mind, that doesn't mean there weren't consequences associated with those decisions. In fact, in Elon's business, it's not just about losing another election or maybe getting chewed out by your bureaucratic overlord. No, if he makes a wrong decision with any of the companies that he owns, it could cost him billions of dollars. But when it comes to government, the entire dynamic changes. So imagine being Elon Musk, and DOGE identifies upwards of $180 billion in spending that should be cut. Then they go around and they start looking at regulations, and they cut over 300,000 words from the regulatory code that are ridiculous, redundant, or just shouldn't exist. And yet, Congress fails to implement many of these important cuts within the very budget that they're now considering, despite the fact that we have the White House, the Senate, and the House. But as frustrating as all of that is in and of itself, there is another element of this that if I were Elon, I would find almost just as frustrating. And that's the part where you have to listen to people say things like, enough posting about bad spending. I want DOGE to actually do something. Can you imagine spending your own time and money to meticulously comb through mountains of bureaucratic malfeasance, bad spending, absurd processes, and archaic technology to uncover the amount of nonsense, potentially illegal, and in some cases even potentially treasonous practices going on in the federal government? To then go on to pay a great personal cost in the form of your stock taking a dive, people threatening you and your family, setting Tesla dealerships on fire, going through all of that, to have some idiot get on the very platform you saved from leftist censorship and accuse you of not doing anything. Ladies and gentlemen, I think one of the biggest problems that Elon Musk uncovered was one he never planned to. And that is the complete lack of understanding of the real dangers of the federal bureaucracy and how our government has been operating for over 100 years now. They were very intentionally using our tax dollars to fund and push ideological agendas that over half the country opposed. They were forcing us to finance the very things many of us were fighting against. And the response to that discovery was to blame DOGE for not doing more. DOGE can't cut anything. They can't fire anyone. They can't unilaterally change the law. And to expect them to be able to do so demonstrates a level of ignorance that, quite frankly, goes a long way in explaining why we find ourselves in the mess we're in. So if we want to be angry about a lack of action, and believe me, we should be, then let's focus that frustration where it belongs. And that is squarely on certain members of Congress. There are real fighters in Congress. There are real differences between many Republicans and the Democratic Party. The problem is we have too many who are unwilling to rock the boat the way Elon Musk or President Trump will. But here's the troubling part. The reason they're not willing to rock the boat more is because voters don't reward them for doing it. Now you might say, Nick, but what about Donald Trump? Yes, that's a perfect example. But we've got an entire Congress we've got to deal with. Ultimately, we keep voting for the politicians unwilling to implement the changes we want. And at some point, you can't ask people to come in and help find all the problems if you have a Congress that's not willing to comprehensively deal with them.